My name is Petrie, and I am working on what I hope is the last chunk of revision in a book called The Deathmaker's Child that I've been revising since November of 2018. Small cameo. I don't usually film in this lovely space, but I am limited in where I can be with small one wandering around. So this latest revision is based on feedback, most of which I received during June of 2019. So it's labeled July 2019 revision in my Google Drive. I did do a bunch of stuff during camp in July of 2019, which seems like a really long time ago. But I still had a bunch of stuff to do. I had a printout of all these pages to work from with notes, a lot of them broken down by chapter, but a lot of them also kind of overarching or might touch on at least a couple of different places. And it was big. It was big and hard for me to wrap my brain around, especially as I've continued to try to work from the document and not print it out anymore. My first revision was done with a printout. So it's been gradual. I've been working on a lot of different projects since then. I've drafted 2 other books and a chunk of another one, and I've done some revisions on those 2 completed first drafts, and had a baby, and pandemic, all kinds of things have happened in the meantime, so that point when I finished my first draft seems like a long time ago. And I found a to-do list from November 8th 2018 the other day while I was looking through notes on this project, and simultaneously felt like recent and forever ago. Anyway, I started with that massive stack of revision notes for this round of revision, and I was crossing stuff off as I went, and I got a lot of stuff crossed off, and it turned into more of a hassle to go through the document with everything crossed off. So I started working from the document in my Google Drive, just erasing all of the things that I had done, as though I used the eraser, deleting all of the things that I had already addressed, and whittling that list down from, I don't remember how many pages, 13 pages. I have now, just today, whittled it down to a single page of remaining revision notes. I have addressed some really big stuff in the last couple of days. Character soup was a significant problem for me, so I've tried to eliminate characters where I can, not name so many people, but just sort of gloss over if there's a, role that needed to be filled, but didn't need to be a character that was going to keep coming up. Cutting characters and in 2 cases combining characters, and that was a huge deal, which caused me to go back through and create a new timeline because stuff had been moved around since my original timeline, which is a thing I do while drafting as a pantser. I keep notes as I go of what day it is, or what is happening this day versus the next day. That was a challenge, and it was scary, and I had been putting it off for a long time because I knew that was one of the biggest things that I needed to do. and I ran into some problems that were unforeseen where it no longer made sense for a character to bring a thing up, but the thing still needed to get brought up. I just kept working and working. Today is March 5th. It is a Friday. So last night was the live stream that Kevin and Laura do, Thirsty Thursday, and during the day yesterday was a live stream that Marcus and Matilda do, alternating channels. And so I did have some friendly support during those challenging moments, and I got it. I did it. I don't know if it's great, but it no longer is like nonsensical, at least. I also have run into a couple of funny things. At one point, someone was using, again, a handkerchief that someone had apparently given them. And I thought, just reading through this chapter, I don't remember somebody giving them a handkerchief or them using it for the first time. Maybe I'm overthinking this. Do a find, use the find function. There's one instance of the word handkerchief in the entire document. It is the time when they are using it again after it has been given to them and they have used it for the first time. So that was a silly thing. Like, I assume at some point in some earlier incarnation, the handkerchief was given to them, but whatever, silly little thing. Anyway, and then last night, my cat stepped onto first the caps lock and then the Q and did a whole line of Qs across my document. He's old. I love him dearly, but he needs to not step on my work. So at this point, I have this list. Again, still, some things are very specific to a certain chapter. Nothing that I have left on this list is a super easy quick fix. I did the easy stuff first. So either these are some significant work within a certain chapter, or like put more emphasis on this overall, or make this happen more gradually throughout. So I think what I can do now, is go through the document one time, just sort of constantly looking at this list, just sort of checking in on it over and over again as I read through each chapter, and try to do one linear revision. Wish me luck. It is March 23rd, and I can basically only get stuff done on my revision during naps, if my baby naps. Baby has been napping for a while. I have just made it through chapter 39 of my trying to get through one major pass. That's chapter 39 out of 42, and so I'm getting really close to the end. There are a couple of things that I have not addressed that I felt like I needed to read through the ending again in order to go back and tie something in better earlier on. So this pass won't be totally complete when I get through 42, but there will only be a couple more things. So I'm trying to get through these last few chapters in, this last week before camp in April, because I want to work on drafting my shiny new idea for camp. I'm really getting close. I was just watching Michelle Schusterman's video about knowing when you're ready to query, and how some people rush and some people polish and polish for years and years, not thinking they're quite ready. I'm definitely a polisher, but then every time I change something, the little added pieces feel so raw and new, like I've put some sort of crappy patchwork on something that, has been refined a lot, and it hasn't It hasn't been scrutinized by any beta reader eyes. It hasn't, made it through several rereadings. And so it's like untried, untested potential garbage that I'm patching in. And there have been a couple of things where I added a good bit. I have been taking a lot out. I have been trying to streamline, trying to trim where not a whole lot is happening, so at least it happens, or doesn't happen more quickly. So you get through the places where there's not a lot of action without spending too many thousands of words on them. And so there's been a good bit of that, but there's also been some expansion in a couple of places where I had summarized, and I tried to dramatize and sort of an added scene for motivation in this last chapter that I'd been knowing I should do and thinking about for kind of a long time. Finally did. So it's ending up probably very similar in length after the revision as before. Adding in about as much as I cut, so it's probably going to stay around 84K, and I'm hearing small baby noises. Hello, did you wake up? Did you wake up? Hi. It is March 26th now. Last night, the 25th, I finished my to-do list for my revision. I'm partly super stoked and partly screaming inside. So, now what? My initial plan had been to take a week or 10 days, ignore it, totally focus on other things, and then read it through, spend 2 or 3 days just reading it through, obviously tidying up little things. At this point, I don't know, when I change things, small line edits, I don't know that I'm making things better just because I'm making things different. So trying not to do too much of that, but reading it through so I can see all of it with all of the most recent changes and make sure everything flows. And I was hoping to have that week or 10 days and then another 2 or 3 for the read through before camp. That's not gonna happen. So what am I gonna do? I'm at least gonna take a few days off before a read through, and by off I mean working on something else. I'm at least going to do that. So I might actually just take a really short time off and get to the read through, in just a few days. Do a quick read through the last couple of days before camp and then call it as done as I can make it. So then where am I at? Next steps. I have a started list of agents and agencies. It is nowhere near the number that I want on my list ultimately, and it is just names of agents and agencies, not detailed information. So agent research entailing finding the agents and agencies that would be interested possibly in a book like this, and then compiling all the necessary information, what they want in their query packet, whether they have a form, etc. I am planning on getting a Query Tracker Pro subscription. I've been thinking about and wanting to get Publisher's Marketplace subscription, but that is as much each month as Query Tracker Pro is for a whole year. So at any rate, I'm going to be drafting during camp. My goal is 40K, so 1333 a day, and I am going to be doing agent research in my spare time, which is the best joke I've heard in a while. I am going to set a deadline for myself, because even if I don't manage it perfectly, at least it gives me something to shoot for. I'm pretty good at deadlines. So I am going to send out my first batch of queries by May 1st. So I have April while I'm doing camp to also do research, and I do have a query letter which I'm going to keep polishing, and I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna jump. I'm just gonna do it. So I am gonna focus on being really positive about my other stuff in progress, and knowing that whatever happens with the Deathmaker's Child, I will soon be ready with something else, and that this is querying practice and not the end-all be-all. I'm also going to make a clear plan for not just tracking, whether that's Query Tracker Pro or, you know, something I do with my bullet journal, or Liz, it's short for Lizard, had a big, beautiful board that she would have in her videos for querying. It was like query bingo she had. It was super cool. I will link to that below, because good idea. But I'm going to have plans for rewards. So similar to Nano badges, I'm going to celebrate milestones like first rejection and first full rejection and first personalized rejection. And, you know, celebrate all the rejections. So that's my plan. That's my plan. So am I ready to query? No, clearly not quite ready to query, but my manuscript is just about ready, and I'm getting super close. Until next time, I am Moon Petrie. If you have anything inspirational or helpful or reassuring to say, please share it with me below.